Ladies and gentlemen, what's happening? Gordie Tamayo here with Behind the Business on behalf of the BoiseBeat.com. And today we are kicking off a segment where we introduce a variety of business owners talking shop about what they do, the impact they're making, etc. And so this upcoming guest duo, I should say, a duo that we got here, they kickstarted a new venture out in Canyon County called A Sober Living Solutions. And so we're going to bring them on deck to talk shop a little bit about what their vision behind this project is and what it's all about. So without further ado, let me bring him on here. What's happening, Zeke and JR? How y'all doing?
Doing good, Gordie. How you doing today, man?
Hey, what's up, man? Doing good. Appreciate you having
Yeah,
us on.
yeah, no doubt. Thanks for jumping on here with me. So, hey, I'll just jump right into it. I want to get a feel for what's happening over here with A Sober Living Solutions. And it was an interesting thing when I first found out that you two were tackling this as a project together. And I was like, wow, I got to get these guys on so I can talk shop with them about what the inspiration behind it was. Little did I know, and we'll get into this in just a second, some of your background and how it ties into this whole venture in and of itself. So before I jump into that, though, Zeke and JR, can you guys just give myself and listeners just a preview about your role with this particular company and what you do?
Yeah, absolutely. My name is Zeke Johnson, and I'm co-founder. Really, what I do is the day-to-day operations. I handle the calls for questions about people trying or thinking about getting in. We have a screening process, the intake process, and then just day-to-day operations. Make sure the guys are happy and that we've got everything that they need to be successful.
Nice.
Yeah, and my name is JR Tamayo. After 20 years in the customer service industry, I decided to start my own businesses. I started 3 businesses, one of which is A Sober Living Solutions, where I am a COO and property manager.
Nice. Okay. So you guys seem like you complement each other pretty well with this particular venture, huh?
Yeah,
I think so.
yeah, absolutely. It really is a really unique and perfect partnership. He has a wealth of knowledge from one side of the business, and I wouldn't say I have a wealth of knowledge. I'm still new to the real estate investing realm, but I do have. I feel like I bring a lot of experience to the table from my 20 years of customer service and the research that I've done. So I think we do complement each other pretty good.
Nice. So let me ask you a little bit about how this inception came about, because I think the name kind of gives it away, right? And word on the block is that poker has something to do with the way this it was spelled, right? Am I right, or is there something else to it?
Oh yeah, definitely. So yeah, I mean, I've known JR for since like middle school, junior high days, and just staying connected. And really my inspiration is the I'm on recovery myself. I've been in recovery since December of 2015. So it's a passion of mine. It's changed my life 1,000 times for the better. I've got the opportunity to work in various aspects, from front desk to an admin assistant, a tech at an inpatient facility, and most recently as a regional manager over 7 locations on the west side of Idaho. So really, it's a great thing to be able to partner with Jay, which we have and recently stayed in touch mostly through mutual friends and a bi-weekly poker game that we play. So it's a good thing, but you just never know where ideas are going to come from.
Yeah, so like I said, I started a real estate journey, and in doing so, one of the businesses obviously is real estate investing. I listened to a podcast. It was on the Bigger Pockets rookie podcast, so shout out to them. It was a podcast of a couple who had started their sober living journey, and it just really, the thing that kind of captured me about it and really just intrigued me was the way that they used culture really to build their business, and really that's something that resonated with me. And then just knowing that their key to success was finding a good house manager. And so for a couple of weeks, I was racking my brain, like, who could I, how do I find a good house manager? I've never been in recovery. I've never, had to deal with these types of situations. So racking my brain for a couple of weeks, and little did I know the perfect person was right under my nose, taking my money at the poker table every week. So sat down, had a conversation with Zeke, and then I asked him, point blank, hey, have you ever thought about having your own home? And he shared with me that it was a dream of his, but he didn't think it was attainable. And I just told him point blank, like, hey, what if I can make it happen? What if I can get you a house? Can you fill it? And the rest is history. That's what started the Brunson House. And to your point, those that aren't familiar, Doyle Brunson is known as the godfather of poker, and so that's why we named this first house the Brunson House. We are Ace, from Ace Sober Living. Obviously it's poker themed, and it wasn't intentional, but it's kind of a fun little inside thing for me and him to run with. So, all of our homes, our future homes, will also be named after famous poker players. So look out for
that. That's what's up. That's cool. So Zeke, when you said that you kind of, I guess, ran up the ranks, if you would, in this particular industry with everything from front desk to operations and overseeing regional units, etc. Like, it sounds like you're kind of an insider expert with how the operations run with this. I'm guessing a lot of your experience with what you did in the past has really helped pave the way for what you're doing right now, correct?
No, absolutely. Yeah. I've got to experience and see things, some of which were successful and some of which were, in my mind, pain points. And I had a list of things that, if I ever had an opportunity, and I was in charge, that I would do different. And so I've got to implement those in this. And some things are big things, and some things are just little things like sizes of the beds, amount of people in the rooms, all of which, we get to implement to create that culture that we're talking about, where it's, people feel warm and welcomed, not that they're just another number or someone else being ran through the house, that we're here for them, we care, and we successfully, genuinely want to see them succeed.
Yeah. So I think, the thing that kind of sets us apart, there's a few things, space, Zeke mentioned it, making sure that our members have, their own sense of space. You know what I mean? When you're in a crowded room, sharing with 3-4 other guys, that can be kind of hard of a thing to accomplish, as far as having that sense of your own space. So, this is a little bit of a bigger home. It's a 2,700 square foot home, and we have 6 bedrooms, 5 of which that have 2 beds. Our bonus room is a little bit bigger, so we do have 4 beds in there. But that's one big thing that we wanted to, be able to offer to our members. And then just having a really nice home. This is a 6-year-old home, so it was already in good shape, and it's just nice for our members to have a place to be proud of and say, this is where I live. You know what I mean? And then lastly is just the culture. Making sure that Zeke, through the screening and vetting process, that he's bringing in strong-minded individuals that are serious about recovery, and understand what it is that we're trying to build here. More long-term than the short-term stays that you see at normal sober living homes. So there's a lot of different things that make us a little bit different, I feel, and I think our members appreciate it.
Yeah, one of the things that's standing out to me right off the bat, I mean, I've heard you mention some things that are pretty unique, which is the culture that you're trying to establish, and even the language that you're using is different in the sense too, right? Like you're speaking to individuals that are coming in and using the facility as members versus clients or versus renters or whatever it is. Like, maybe a curveball for you here, but talk to me a little bit about the intent behind that and the psychology behind how you're viewing these individuals as members of a community and that being part of the culture that you're building.
Yeah, I'll kind of go first, but I'll let Zeke touch on this. I'm sure he has some thoughts on it. I feel like me coming from the real estate investing side of things, there's no secret behind it. It is a business. But at the same time, just getting to know this business and getting to talk with Zeke and getting to really understand what kind of an impact we have on these individuals' lives. I feel like we have a little bit more of a closer connection than you would in a typical real estate type situation where you have a renter or a resident. You know what I mean? It's a little bit of a different dynamic. And so when I hear the word member, the first thing that comes to my mind is family member. And so that's really, for me, that's why I chose that word, and I like using that word instead of other ways to describe them, because in a sense, they're an extended piece of our family. You know what I mean? And so that's really where my idea, my idea came from.
Yeah, and for me, really, it goes back to that, where they're just not another number. They really are a member, and we are trying to build that culture, that community, where they can come in and they can feel a part of, they can feel welcomed, like they're going to be a contributing, successful member of society out in the community, but they can start that here in this community, whether it's just by following the rules or helping out or showing a new guy the ropes, so really that goes along with that culture that we're trying to create. They're not just people, they really are members of this community, and that's how we try to treat it. So
Yes. It also sounds like, I mean, because correct me if I'm wrong, but technically you've been live and in operation for just over a month, right? This has been something that's been in the works, but live, you've been going a month and a half or and change. So for some, it may seem like, oh, it's a little bit too early, but if I understand correctly as well, you've already encountered some wins along the way. Like you've had some people that have experienced some good things from being able to jump within this space and take advantage of everything that you're offering as far as resources are concerned. Can you share an example of a recent resident experience or member experience of living here?
absolutely, and it really it touches the member as well as their family, man. I was on the phone with the individual, and their mother actually called me, and they were in a not really safe situation where they were currently living, and they were just trying to get somewhere where they knew or felt that they would be safer. And then through talking with her and kind of arranging a couple things, we were able to make some arrangements to make sure that we could get him in a safe place that night. So we got him in that night. And his mom said to me, the thing that you guys are doing or that you're a part of is an answer to our prayers. And really, for me at that moment, it was just like that made everything, the work, the sacrifice, the little bit of struggle that I've had in getting to this part, all worth it. Because we were able to help that person. And even on a daily basis, I'll touch base with the guys. Hey, what's going on, man? And they're like, we wish we don't have anything to complain about, man. We like being here. We love it. And so just seeing them be happy, and some of them do have that experience where they've been to other places. And people are just drinking and using it as just like a flop house. And so they really are getting that experience that I think we're trying to give them.
Yeah, and I'm really new to this. Obviously this industry, that this is Zeke's. This is where he's the expert. But I'm learning. That every single day is really a win. For these guys, and so I tell Zeke all the time. He's been really good about sharing. Whether it's a text message from a member, whether it's a call from a family member or relative or friend. He's shared that feedback with me, and I told him, I was like, dude, I don't care, if it's the middle of the night, like I want to hear that stuff, that hearing those kinds of stories, and knowing that impact, it's a special feeling to have. And so, selfishly, I'd like to feel it more. So, I think it's awesome, and you can really, you really know that you're having an impact when you hear that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I bet. I bet that you also have the community. I mean, I'm guessing you've probably had people that you either have already shared it with or people that have heard that are other business owners in the community that are seeing what you're doing. And it's kind of perking some eyebrows as to wondering what's going on here. Have you guys, been able to leverage any partnerships or engage with any other community builders with what you're doing here to leverage resources?
Yeah, and it's funny because I met this gentleman on a completely different project, on some land that I was developing. He just happened to stop by and wanted to know what we were doing, and so I got this guy's business card. He at the time was a manager at Personnel Plus. Shout out to them. And this was way before this idea of the sober living home. It really started in June of this year. So I met this guy a long time ago, and I just held on to his business card. And as we got closer to opening our doors, and when we got our first member in, the realization hit me that, hey, some of our people are going to need jobs. And, in the stage of their recovery, in the stage of their life, if they've got a criminal record, sometimes doors shut a lot quicker, rather than open for you. And so I I knew right away that that was going to be a very important resource for them. So I reached out to the gentleman, and he's now the vice president of Personnel Plus. And immediately he just welcomed us immediately, and he's like, "Hey, you know what? I'm so glad that you reached out. I know it's been a while, but we're actually perfect for you guys, and here's why: we're felony friendly. It sounds like the type of individuals that you're bringing into your home are the type of people that we want to give a second chance and opportunity to. So it sounds like it's going to be a good, strong relationship, and there's obviously a lot of building still to do in that space, but just knowing that that's one resource that we're able to offer that maybe other homes might not have. A second one, I'm like I mentioned, I'm also I have two other businesses, one of which is a money coaching business, and where I basically teach people, the basics about money, how to budget, how to save, how to plan for the future smart, and how to hold yourselves accountable. And so it's a service that I feel like it could be very valuable to people who are trying to get their lives back on track. They already have a lot of stuff that they're having to overcome and deal with and sort of organize. So I feel like having that tool of somebody to, kind of lead you and guide you through that process is extremely valuable. And so I'm going to offer that service to our members at a special rate that's actually, a better discount than what I offer my friends and family. I'm giving them a 33% discount off of what I charge for my services. So just another unique, resource that if I had to bet, is probably not available at other sober living home.
Yeah, no, that's an interesting option to be thrown on the table there, and something that I think is very overlooked. I mean, many individuals who are experiencing life crisis and they've gotten to the point where this is kind of a last thread. It's probably pretty bankable that their finances are in ruin, and so for somebody to come in and say, "Hey, let's start from ground zero," and coach you on how to get back, up to par, so that's one less thing on your plate, that you got to be focused on. Props to you guys for that. And this might be a little bit early to ask this question, but I mean, you guys have been in operation for a little bit over a month and a half, like I stated, but you probably have some big plans, right? Like, what's the vision for A Sober Living Solutions, and what's the intent of, the next 5 years? What do you see this thing going into?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, things have been going great so far. That culture we're really trying to create, and with the need that I've seen, expansion is definitely the goal. There's needs for women's houses, other men's houses. We've even tossed around the idea of like a family-friendly house where it could be, multiple families that can kind of recover together. But with that expansion, keeping in mind that culture that we're trying to bring, and just expanding at a rate where we can continue to have that culture, not so fast that it gets lost in transition, is something that's super important, especially to me. So.
Yeah, I think that's the key is the culture. We got to maintain that culture. And right now it's a two-man show. It's me and Zeke. But the idea is, as we fill this home, we're able to, somebody's going to stand out, you know what I mean? As a leader, and as, really somebody who's really bought into what we're trying to establish. And once we have those, one or two individuals that can step in as a live-in house manager and live-in assistant house manager, then that's going to give us the flexibility and freedom to go ahead and start our next project. So we definitely want to expand. My goal is for us to have 7 to 10 homes in the state of Idaho at some point. But it's not a race, right? So we're in it for the long haul. And we have steps that we have to hit. We're not jumping from first step to the top. We're going step by step. And that way we know it's built right.
Yeah, that sounds smart. If you were to give some advice to anybody that is listening and, thinking, man, I think I need to reach out to these guys. I think that this might be an option for myself or for a family member, a friend, etc., that's at this point in their life. Like, what kind of insight or advice would you tell somebody?
I would definitely say, just do your research. Know, kind of what you're looking for, what your situation is, because everybody has a unique situation, whether it's with work, transportation, things like that. And we tried to centrally locate ourselves so we could be available for everybody where it would benefit them. But just knowing that, maybe if you can talk to people who have been other places, or here, to find out really what kind of experience someone's had when they've been there. And for family members, I would say just being able to be there and be supportive if someone's actually trying. I've had to, in my experience, love some people from a distance who maybe weren't quite ready to be on this journey. But once someone shows that willingness and you see some action that they're taking, I think a lot of times they may not have a lot of support at that point, and being able to be there and be able to help them when they're showing some initiative is huge.
Yeah, I agree, and I think the biggest piece of advice that I would give to those relatives and loved ones is, just be present, be there as a support system, because the sad reality that I've learned through this process is that at this point in these people's lives, they've burned bridges, they've ruined relationships, they've broken trust, and sometimes they're alone. And so if they're lucky enough to have somebody that's still in their corner, like Zeke said, sometimes it is that love from a distance type situation, but just letting them know that they are not 100% alone, I think is the biggest way you could help. And I feel like the people that have come to our home so far, I feel like it was destiny. Like we were the perfect fit for them. So I feel like naturally others are going to gravitate towards us the same way. I think just naturally, we're going to come in their path, and they're going to be the right people for us to bring in and to add to our family here. And, I'm excited for it. But that's the biggest thing, is just support, be there for them.
Yeah. Speaking about getting people in your path potentially, I mean, there's people virtually, looking for answers and looking for information, etc. Where can people find out about a sober living solutions online?
Yeah, absolutely. We're on Facebook, Instagram. Email is acesober1@gmail.com. And phone number 208 779 0068.
Nice. Well, thank you, fellas. I want to thank you for jumping on board with me and talking shop. What you guys are doing is definitely inspiring. And I think that, with what you're doing, it's going to gain some traction. You're going to be hearing a lot more people that are talking about a sober living solutions with what you're doing. So keep up the good work.
Well, thank you, Gordie.
Hey, thanks for
Appreciate it.
having us, man. Appreciate you, brother.
You got it. All right. And ladies and gentlemen, for everybody else that's tuning in and watching here right now, we just want to thank you for jumping on board with us, joining us here. This is Gordie Tamayo with Behind the Business on behalf of the BoiseBeat.com. Thanks for checking in, and we'll catch you next time.